Hey everyone, this is Michelle for Gaming Cypher with a review of Twice Reborn, a vampire visual novel. This game was provided to me for free for review by the developers. Twice Reborn, a vampire visual novel by East Asia Soft Limited, First Step Cinematics, and Ratalaika Games is, well, it's a visual novel. Gamers play as Mark Delaware, a teaching assistant who stumbles into the hidden world of vampires and has to make decisions about his friends, family, and humanity. Gamers, or maybe readers would be a better description, play through Twice Reborn as Mark Delaware, a student in his last semester at university who is also a TA for the hardest history professor on campus, Professor Mikkelsen. Mikkelsen has arranged for a job interview for Mark, leading players to their first significant choice in the game, whether to accept the interview or politely thank but reject Mikkelsen's offer. I don't think it's too much of a spoiler here to tell you that if you reject the professor, you die pretty quickly after. A green mohawked vampire named Spike approaches you saying some mysterious stuff about how the others want you but I don't care. And then you die. That's leading to Dead End 1, titled Another Dead Student on Campus by the developers. That's dark. According to developers, there are 33 possible endings to the game. 1 is considered the best ending, 2 are considered good endings, 4 are considered normal endings, and a whopping 24 are considered bad endings, dead ends, or bloodlust endings, which just means you gave into your vampiric hunger, blacked out, and killed everyone around you. If you took the time to do the math, you might notice that was only 31 endings. The last 2 possible endings are called hunter endings. It turns out that strict Professor Mikkelsen is not what he seems. He's actually, gasp, the vampire enforcer, by which I mean a vampire who enforces vampire law. If you partner with the professor, you can unlock the hunter storyline, which may or may not include a bear. This game is a choose-your-own-adventure novel, meaning players are given options about how they want to proceed at specific points. A player's choice also gives players points towards which endings are available to them. For example, while on a date early in the game, if players choose to pay for dinner, the game will award 1 point towards the best ending. If players decide to split dinner, no points are awarded, and if players choose to let their date Jody pay, they will lose a point toward the best ending. Points add up during the game, causing changes to players that they can monitor on their stat screen. The stat screen tracks Mark's relationship with different vampire factions, individual characters, and overall hunger. I figured out this last part after I politely refused the bottle of blood at a party, then went to run an errand, lost control, and killed everyone. There are times in the game when players don't do much except read and press a button to advance to the next line of text, which got pretty boring after a while, especially when I figured out I could just select the auto advance feature and just sit and read. The game actually provides a lot of save slots. I mean, a lot. So the developers expect players to think strategically and save during major choices, which is great, except for the crashes. At first, I thought I had done something wrong, but then I realized, nope, it's not me, the game is actually crashing. In Chapter 8 of the game, after 2 human characters trick Mark into meeting 2 vampires, Damien and Zenju, the game began repeatedly crashing when I was trying to choose between joining the House of the Skulls or remaining with the Society, which are 2 rival vampire factions. I figured out I could get past the crash by selecting skip mode for the dialogue, which, when selected, will skip players to the next story choice. Unfortunately, that meant there was a huge chunk of the story where I had no idea what happened or was said, and when faced with my next choice, I just threw up my hands and guessed at what to do. I saw a few other people reporting game crashes, but it doesn't seem like most people are dealing with them. If it does happen to you though, try skipping ahead and then take your best guess. I want to take a moment and talk about the game's art, which I thought was the weakest part of the game. I'm not sure about anyone else's reaction, but the first time I opened the game and saw the cover art, I thought that all of the characters on the front were the same character. I thought, oh, does the story change depending on who I decide to play as? Will I turn into the bad guy or the professor dude depending on if I'm a paragon or a renegade? Turns out no, those are all different characters. But tell me these don't all look the same. I would understand similarities because the characters are by the same artist, but these characters all look like one template with different hair. The choice to make most of the characters copies of each other was made more noticeable because during certain scenes in the game where Mark is in a crowd, the developers don't bother adding an actual character. They just put a black silhouette that players are supposed to just accept. This was especially weird during a ballroom scene where Mark danced with a black blob. The game's art style was flat, bland and super clunky, and there were several times I found myself wondering about the artistic choices rather than paying attention to the story. Overall, I give the game 6 out of 10. I've played twice Reborn for about 4 hours, died about a dozen times, and had the game crash about a dozen more. While there is potential, I personally found the plot boring, but I wonder how much of that was just due to the artwork and animation choices, which really let the game down. Seriously, there would be minutes I was just staring at a black screen, reading text. I'm pretty torn about this game because I'm a completionist at heart and I want to collect the endings, but I don't know that the time and energy would be worth it. I have a feeling this will be a game I put down for a while, then on some unknown, lazy Sunday in the future, I pick back up again, binge my way through, and then never think about it again. Twice Reborn is currently available on all platforms.